Jenny, this is a bucket list situation for me. I have been dying to talk to you for decades. I'm so excited right now. I can barely stand it.
Well, now listen, calm down, easy, tiger. I'm here, not going anywhere.
Okay, I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Deep breath, that's good.
Okay. So, first and foremost, congratulations on your Oscar for Cruella. I know that was a while ago, but let me tell you something. When that race was happening, I felt some kind of way. I'm like, if Jenny does not win the Oscar, I'm going to have something to say, because your designs for that were insane, as were your designs for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. So having said that, how much did you actually collaborate with Christian Dior on the designs for this particular film, since he's so heavily spoken about within the confines of the picture?
Well, I will tell you a deep secret.
Okay.
I undertook this film on the understanding that Dior was going to be doing the Dior part of the film, and I would be doing the day clothes, or the civilian clothes, so to speak. And I went to Paris. I had the most fantastic afternoon in the archives. They are wonderful. They don't have a lot of 50s, because in the 50s, no one realized the importance of keeping pieces. You know, they did the collection, sold it, and off it went, and on to the next collection. So basically, they showed me all sorts of wonderful bits and pieces, and the way he did the layouts for the drawing and the fabric swatches and all this, all real. And then we sat down around the table, and I said to them, well, this has been a most wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much. Now, it's absolutely amazing to know you will be doing, the Dior part. And 4 eyes looked at me and went, no. I thought, oh dear, what have I opened? What kind of worms have I opened? So I said, well, they're integral to the story. Of course, I can make them, or rather, not me. I know people who can, but it will cost money. I think we were pre-COVID at that point. I think this was before Christmas. And so there wasn't that to worry about. It was simply, the fact that it really was going to cost. And we were on a very, very small budget. Anyway, so everybody agreed to talk about it. And I went away and I said, look, you've got to let me know soon, which of course they didn't. Anyway, cut a long story short, yes, we did make them. They lent me 5 pieces from their heritage collection, which is not original, but it's their remakes. And then basically they left me to it, and we chose the ones we'd use, and I designed the 3 that are the storytelling ones. The first one, the Ravissant, the Temptation of Venus, because they need specific things to happen to them. And then we had to leave someone in England looking after it, but I had 2 of my best makers, Jane Law, who made the Baroness in Cruella, and John Bright from Cosprop, who I've worked with forever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and we were doing the whole thing by remote control. And then a wonderful woman from Dior, Justine, came and joined us to make sure. I mean, Dior had to have approval of what I was up to.
Right.
Thank God they did, because the film is out. But Justine was terrific. And she came out to Budapest and helped us put it all together, and, just gave her approval and was there like a rock. So we knew we were okay. And it's a thoroughly nice woman as well. So we had fun. And that was the involvement with Dior. And then we, basically did it, but Justine was there.
That's a fascinating story. I loved every bit of that. Oh, I'm so excited. So red is my favorite color. I know you can't tell right now because I got a bunch of pink and animal print on the screen right now, but literally red is my favorite color. And that dress, I was like, if I'm ever in a situation where Miss Jenny, I can afford you to design, I'm gonna need something like a Temptation in my life. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, it was taken from a real Dior, obviously, which I saw in the archive, and it was a red with a net over it, and the inner layer had endless sequins hand sewn on. So we had to try and find a fabric that had something of the life, had the color for Ada, because, she isn't in her first youth. So you want to find a dress that she would like, she knows she would like, and that she will look good in. And we did find, and it was remarkably cheap, a fabric with, glitter and, properly done. I've probably done in India because they do stuff. And this, thank God, it was in the north of England, so it was we were able to get it, because you couldn't get out to shops, you couldn't, whatever. But the shape is as near temptation as we could do, and obviously to fit on Leslie, to look good on Leslie, because that's the main point of it. And yes, you look fabulous in it, I can tell.
You should have never said that to me. You should have never said that to me. I want to talk about the scenes, and I just want to know how much input you had into them. The scenes where there were the actual fittings, with the way that the designs are custom fit to. Yeah. Did you have a lot of input with that in terms of how it was shot?
Quite a lot. Yes, me and Lauren, my associate designer, both had quite a lot, because we both have done fittings forever. And the lovely guy playing Monsieur Carré, I don't think ever had. So we were very careful to make sure he had all the right equipment and all that. Because I always hate it when you can see it's not true, or somebody buys a dress and then never wears it in a film, or all that stuff. It has to follow through. So yes, we did. We had a lot of, and also how much of the dress you'd see, because you wanted to show enough and make sure everybody knew which that dress was and all the rest of it.
Yeah. And there's this theme that flows throughout the film about class and fashion. There's certain classes of people can't afford these types of things, and they have to scrimp and save every little penny that they have to try to be able to afford that. I don't think that's the case anymore, especially with these companies like Rent the Runway and some of these other ones that allow you to actually rent designer clothing, by the month. But I was just wondering what your thoughts were about that whole ideology of class and fashion.
What's really changed is fast fashion, so that, kids and people without money can afford to buy things they think look great and they feel good. Unfortunately, of course, it's led to this horrific waste and everything else. And I come from the Mrs. Harris world, where you mended things. You didn't have many clothes and you mended them. And nobody minded doing that, But now, of course, people just buy things, they don't even wear them. They hit the charity shop and they think that's fine. Poor charity shops are absolutely overwhelmed. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not into fashion myself, and I find it indulgent. And I prefer the idea of people being able to afford things, but also I love the idea of people keeping them and making them themselves, and and looking after things.
Jenny, I think you are Mrs. Harris. I think I am speaking to Mrs. Harris.
Yes, I'm of her type, sure.
Who is someone that inspired you to go into this lane? My grandmother inspired me, but I can't sew to save my life. Like, my stuff just looks like somebody tried to sew it. It's just bad. But my grandmother was spectacular at it. And so was my mom.
Well, I think the people that inspired me were Piero Tosi, Anthony Powell, and John Bright. But that's probably more in the world of period stuff. I don't know quite who it would be in the real world. In the modern world, the person who inspires me the most is not in film, it's in opera. And he's a guy called Barry Kosky, and he runs the Komische Oper in Berlin. And he's done work at Covent Garden and probably the Met, and his designers are extraordinary. But what it is, however extraordinary it looks, it's always centered on the story of the opera. And to me, if you look up Barry Kosky and the Komische Oper in Berlin, that is my go-to groupie, and that design for me is just phenomenal.
I've been watching your work for decades, and I am so excited that I finally got a chance to speak with you. I'm really, really happy that we could all make this happen today. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you. Cheered my morning up, I can tell you. Still wet in Sydney, you'd like to be pleased to know. Still got the but they say it'll get better later. Anyway,
I'm glad I could cheer you up. Thank you. Thank you so much.